Yo, what's good? Big Z here, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make a vocoder sound like Zedd does in his own tracks. Here's what it sounds like.
You only want me on a Wednesday. You only kiss when we make love. And if you're lonely on a Tuesday, you only call me to make love, love, love.
So I'll show you guys exactly how I made that vocoder effect. I used a mix of Logic's native vocoder and also a third-party one that I'll show you that I think is way better. But you can use any vocoder you want. What's really important is that you get the chords and the notes right, and that you have a short attack and release time in the vocoder. And I'll show you guys what I mean by that. So I'll show you the different layers. It's 3 different layers, and here's what they all sound like together.
Wednesday, you only kiss when we make love. And if you're lonely on a Tuesday.
So really quickly, I'll show you guys how to set up a vocoder. So all you need is a vocal file in your arrange window. So I have this vocal file from my song Wednesday, just the acapella. You really just want a mono acapella, not one with background vocals too, because then it'll mess up the vocoder. So just one layer of a vocal right in the middle of the mix will do the trick.
Wednesday, you only kiss when we make love.
So once you have that vocal file in your track, you want to make some chords behind it. So pull up like a piano plugin or whatever you use to write chords and just write some simple chords behind the acapella. So I'll show you guys the chords I wrote for this at first. So what you want to do is make it a little more interesting by adding a little top melody on top of the chords to use with the vocoders. So I'm going to play the vocals at the same time as these chords and make the top melody of the chords a little more interesting and make it follow along with the vocal.
Wednesday.
And the vocoder is only going to be playing when the vocal is going, so you don't really need chords in between the spaces where there's no vocal. So now the chords have a little bit more of a melody and they're a little more interesting to use with the vocoder. Here's what they sound like. So now that we have our chords, we can start our first vocoder track. So we're just going to want to open a new instrument track, and you can use any vocoder for this. They all pretty much work the same way. So what you're going to do is drag your MIDI down to the vocoder track. I'll just call this vocoder, and I'll solo it for now, and keep the vocals on too. So what we're going to want to do is open up a vocoder. So at first I'm just going to use this third-party vocoder that I like a lot. So you want to go to MIDI controlled effects if it's a third-party one, and the one I'm going to be using is by Infected Mushroom called Manipulator. It's a really cool plugin. So basically all vocoders work the same in that you just need to sidechain the vocoder to the vocal signal. So in this sidechain section right here, I'm going to go down and click my Wednesday vocals.
Wednesday, you only kiss when we make love. And if you're lonely on a Tuesday.
So that's just like the default vocoder sound for this plugin. And I think it sounds really good actually. And there's a few things you can do really easily within this plugin to make it sound a lot better. One of them is the stereo width feature down here.
Wednesday, you only kiss when we make love.
Another easy thing you can do to make it sound better is mess with the formant.
Wednesday, you only kiss when we make love.
So I like this vocoder a lot because by default it just has the quickest attack and release settings. Like there's no release after the vocal stops playing where it sounds a little synthy. It's just a really tight vocoder that only plays when the vocal's playing. And that's why I think it sounds so good, layered with vocals.
Wednesday, you only kiss when we make love. And if you're lonely on a Tuesday.
So after I get that first layer down, I like to make a bass vocoder layer. So what I'm going to do is just duplicate this vocoder track with the manipulator plugin. And all I'm going to do is delete the chords and just keep the bass line. Except what I'm actually going to do is move it an octave further down. Let's see what that sounds like by itself.
Wednesday, you'll only kiss when we make love.
So it sounds kind of weird by itself, but I think in the context of the whole mix, it sounds really cool to have that low bass vocoder in there to really fill up the whole frequency spectrum. So let's see how these layers with the vocals sound now.
Wednesday, you'll only kiss when we make love. And if you're lonely on a Tuesday.
So now for a third vocoder layer, I'll open Logic's native vocoder just so you can see how that works. And it's really more of a traditional vocoder, so you'll get a better idea of how to use the attack and release time with that plugin too. So I'm just going to open up a new instrument track again. I'm just going to solo it by itself. And then I'm going to go down to this vocoder synth in Logic. And I'm going to do the same thing where I sidechain it to the Wednesday vocals. And we're going to want to drag the same MIDI file down here for this one too. And by default, it's going to sound really bad. So it doesn't even sound like a vocoder yet. So you need to go down to some of these presets, these vocoder presets down here, and just kind of scroll through until you find one that you like. So I think this one is pretty clear, and this isn't the best vocoder, but this setting isn't bad. So a couple things you can do. You don't really want a long release time for this ZEDD Vocoder effect. Like if you have a long release on there, the chords start to like blend together and it doesn't sound that tight. So to keep everything really tight and cohesive, you want to make a really short release time, like just a few milliseconds, and also a short attack time too. So I'm just going to mess around with a couple things here to make it sound a little bit better. So now I'm going to EQ this layer so we can mix it in with the other two vocoder layers I already had.
Wednesday, you'll only kiss when we make love.
So now we've got our three layers together. Let's see how it all sounds with the vocals.
You only want me on a Wednesday. You'll only kiss when we make love. And if you're lonely on a Tuesday.
So one last thing I want to do real quick is send all of these to the same bus so we can compress them together, and they'll sound a lot better that way. So I'm going to go into the mix window and just send all of these to a new bus. So now in bus 25, and I'm going to use this compressor called the glue that I think just glues everything together really nicely. So I'm just going to mess around with some of the settings here while this loops.
Wednesday, you'll only kiss when we make love. And if you're lonely on a Tuesday, you only call me to make love, love, love.
And that's how you make a ZEDD style vocoder effect. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Spotify below. And other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.